Hey, what's going on, guys? Halo just got another update for Halo Campaign Evolved. One of the biggest fixes is for the maw, where stability has been improved if you're watching or skipping the intro cinematic, while FSR is enabled on certain AMD drivers. They also added warnings on PC when the game starts with AMD or NVIDIA drivers that are already known to cause problems, which is the kind of thing that saves people from loading in and wondering why everything feels off. On top of that, Xbox gamer tags now show correctly through the account linking process for PlayStation and Steam players, so that whole setup flow should be a little less confusing. The campaign fixes are probably the part most players will care about because there are a few mission moments in here that were definitely not behaving the way they were supposed to. Pillar of Autumn got general stability improvements. In the Truth and Reconciliation, the jackals in the hangar hallway now actually patrol instead of just standing around. On Assault on the Control Room, Spec Ops elites near Rally Point Delta are now supposed to engage properly, and enemies should stop wandering into the exterior area like they forgot where the fight is happening. The Hunter pair on the Silent Cartographer has also been fixed, so they consistently kick in after you get near the Cartographer's entrance. And there is also a combat tuning change where a charged plasma pistol shot no longer deletes a player from full health and shields on any difficulty, which is one of those fixes that probably feels unfair in hindsight because it sounds like it was way too punishing before. There's also a performance improvement in here that might not sound exciting at first, but it matters if you have a big friends list. The patch notes say hitching has been reduced for players on Windows PC, Steam, and PlayStation when they have large friends lists, which tells me the team is chasing some of those weird background performance issues that can make menus and transitions feel sticky even when the game itself is running fine. That kind of fix is easy to overlook, but once it is better, you usually notice it right away because the whole game just feels lighter. Now, the known issues section is honestly just as important to talk about because it gives you a real picture of what is still being worked through. Cinematics can still stutter if your display refresh rate is not an even multiple of 30 Hz, and the workaround they give is to use something like 60, 120, or 240 Hz, turn on game mode if your TV has it, or disable VRR if that seems to be part of the problem. They also say that if you pause and resume during a cinematic, audio and video can fall out of sync and the scene can freeze for a moment. Fireteams still have a marker progression issue where navigation markers do not move forward until everyone passes them, and Two Betrayals has a nasty progression blocker if players destroy the Banshee after the first generator. There's also still some brief audio popping or stuttering in the Truth and Reconciliation. On Xbox, there is one specific issue where suspending the game during a cinematic can leave the last frame hanging on screen and then overlap later cinematics for the rest of the playthrough. The workaround there is a full console restart, which is not ideal, but at least they are being direct about it. On PC, there are a few more technical problem spots. Launching the game straight from Halo Campaign Evolve.exe in the Steam folder can make it boot without connecting to Steam, which can break sign-in and even trigger severe performance issues or a freeze. Their advice is to launch it from the Steam library instead. They also warn that custom key bindings may reset after closing the game, and the workaround is to avoid overwriting an existing binding directly. Instead, move the old action to a free key first, then assign the new one. There are also some hardware-specific issues still on the list, and this is where things get very familiar if you've been around PC gaming for a while. Some Intel 13th and 14th gen processors can crash on launch because of a pre-existing microcode issue, especially if the BIOS has not been updated recently. AMD cards can also crash on high refresh rate displays when VSync is on and the frame cap is too low, so they recommend keeping the cap at least 1/4 of the refresh rate or turning VSync off. They call out a visual issue with DLSS on low upscaling quality too, where grain, haze, or oversized lens flares can show up on low graphics settings. NVIDIA RTX 50 series cards may crash on keys in the maw with certain drivers, and the recommended fix is to update to 610.88 or roll back to 596.49. Then there is XeSS, where frame generation can freeze the image or cause frame rate problems during cinematics if an in-game cap is set, so they suggest using DLSS or FSR instead, or turning off frame generation with ZSS. That is a lot of technical baggage, but it is also the kind of transparency players usually appreciate, because at least you know whether the problem is the game, the driver, or the settings mix you're using. So overall, this update feels like a cleanup patch that is trying to make the experience steadier before anything else. It is not the sort of patch that comes in swinging with brand new content, but it does touch the exact spots that matter in actual play, like campaign progression, enemy behavior, account linking, and the messier PC and driver side issues. And for a game that is spread across multiple platforms with a lot of different hardware setups, that kind of patch can matter just as much as anything more dramatic.